What's going on, everybody? My name's Anthony, aka Soapbox Ant, and welcome to my YouTube channel. What was I thinking? And welcome to my first live. Happy to have you. Hopefully, you'll stick around. Basically, going to give you a little bit of a background on myself and why I decided to start this whole YouTube channel. So, basically, the whole concept of what was I thinking is I'm going to give you my opinion on random things: movies, TV shows, music, food, obviously, and just whatever comes to mind. Uh, Born and raised in Philly, PA. I'm a regular dude. Some might say a little bit irregular. Well, you'll find that out as we go along on this journey. But basically, I have a lot of random thoughts that are floating around in this big ass dome of mine, and I want to share them with you, my audience. So, as I stated from the top, there's going to be a lot of randomness on this. And before I go any further, I gotta say this. I gotta say this. Uh, I got the nickname Soapbox Ant from a buddy of mine, Teddy. Shout out to you, Teddy. Going to get to him a little bit later on, but I got that nickname because I like to go on rants. I get passionate about a lot of current events, a lot of world events. For the purposes of this channel, because I want this channel first and foremost to be fun. I want it to be a safe space from all of the nonsense and all of the craziness of the real world. So I am going to do my hardest to keep political opinions, political views, current events out of it, because all that honestly does is create a lot of negativity, a lot of discourse that I personally just don't want on this channel. I don't want in this space. There are plenty of other platforms out there where you can get political views, political opinions, political thoughts. Uh, from people that are quite frankly a little bit more well versed than myself. Now, if something hits me where I want to give my opinion, I want to give my thoughts on it, am I going to talk about it on my platform? Sure. But I want you to know up front that I'm going to make a conscious effort to make those conversations as limited as possible. But if something does compel me to give an opinion on it, I'm certainly going to give my opinion on it. But as far as this channel goes, I actually created the this YouTube channel 10 years ago, 2015, back when I got into podcasting, aka I consider myself an accidental podcaster. That's going to be an episode unto itself down the line. But basically, long story short, when I got into podcasting, I thought, hmm, why don't I start a YouTube channel that can almost be like an addendum to the podcast where I can kind of get into different things on a YouTube channel. But I just kind of like fell through because I was self conscious about, how it would look on camera, what I would have to say, would people be interested? It's like, so I basically talked myself out of it. But in light of recent events, I just felt compelled to get this thing started because I believe in more than ever doing the things and saying the things. Uh, I had a friend that I went to high school with, Jasmine Lundy, who passed away recently. And it's one of those things where it was a sudden situation. It was unexpected, and it actually happened like literally a week or so after I wished her a happy birthday. And for some reason, that really hit me like a ton of bricks because we went to high school together. We didn't really, we weren't particularly close during that time period. We knew of each other. We would speak here and there, and we might have been paired up on a group assignment here and there, but nothing to where I could say, yeah, we were close and we were like this, and we were, that came honestly years after the fact. We became friends on Facebook, and we opened up communication then, and come to find out, we got more in common than I thought. Why didn't we? I wish we had a kind of like found these things out way back in the day so we could have built up more memories and things of that nature. But everything's on God's time, and people are putting in life for different reasons and different seasons. And for whatever reason, God just said high school wasn't it. After high school, that's when y'all gonna link up and become friends. And life got in the way, and we kind of lost touch, and then we reconnected uh back in 2024 a little bit around WrestleMania season. Oh, that's another thing that's going to come up from time to time on this channel. I am and will always be a wrestling fan. Even when it's hard to be a wrestling fan, I will talk about that from time to time. I've been a fan since the late 80s, and that's pretty much going to be the fact that's just going to be a fact until they put me in the ground. But anyway, we kind of reconnected around WrestleMania season, once again through social media. And we just kind of like reconnected or like just like little things and like, our mutual love of, wrestling and different things. And she had actually saw me walking. Little factoid about myself as well. On October 5th of 2020, I started doing like a daily walk and I would document it on Facebook. And as a matter of fact, as I record this, I'm up to 1,642 consecutive days of walking without taking a break. But it has to start somewhere. I started back on October 5th, 2020, as I said, right after I had got laid off from a job, and I was kind of like in like not the best space. It was around COVID time, and I needed a break. I needed to clear my head. So I went out for a walk, had my phone with me, had some earphones with me, listened to some music, and wow, I found out that, ooh, that felt good. So one day turned into 5 days, turned into 10 days, turned into 50 days. And along the way, I started thinking to myself, like, wow, let me see if I can challenge myself to get to 100 straight days of walking with no stops. And then once I got to 100 days, it became a habit. I got addicted to it. So that's how 100 days turned into 1,642 days and counting. So back to Jasmine. So she had saw me on one of my walks. Actually, she saw me a few different times. Come to find out, and she was taking the son back and forth to practice, and she basically said, you know what, one of these days I'm going to pull over so we can catch up. You know, I said that I would love that. I would love that. Maybe even, do a lunch date or something just to kind of like reconnect because that was one of those bonds and one of those relationships that I really wanted to rekindle and kind of like get fired up again. Cause she was a beautiful person, man. She was a beautiful person. And unfortunately, that I'm sad to say that link up, that reconnection never happened because when we talked about linking up, I was just like, I'm all on board for it. And I had kind of made a mental promise to myself, like once we link up this time, I'm going to make sure that distance, that connection stays strong because, like I said, when we was connected, it was a beautiful thing, and I didn't want to lose that. So I said, however we get together, lunch date, phone, whatever, however we plan it out, we gonna get together, and this time that bond is gonna be like this, gonna be crazy like that glue. And like I said, it unfortunately never happened. It was never meant to be. But I know that if I'm a third of the person that she was, I'll see her again. Um, Condolences once again to the family, to the entire Lundy family, friends that knew her far better than I did, and just rest easy, Jazz. Rest easy. Excuse me. But I did that segue talking about Jazz for a second because she is partially responsible, a big part of why I'm doing this channel, why I got off my ass with it and said, you know what, this is the time to start it. Because, like I said, her death was sudden, it was unexpected, and it really hit home just the frailty of life. Like I said, I wished her happy birthday, and then a week later, she's gone. And that's literally how quick this life thing goes. Like, we all have expiration dates. We just don't know when our time is coming. So whatever time we do have, we got to do the things and say the things and do as much as we can while we can. And I've always wanted to work in the entertainment space, which is why I started recently getting into acting. And I always wanted to kind of like get on this platform, YouTube, and just talk about these things, this random knowledge about different things, whether it's movies, whether it's television, whether it's pro wrestling, whether it's music, whether it's sports. I really wanted to get on a platform and talk about it. So, you know what? Better late than never. Like I said, I started the channel back in 2015, did F all with it for 10 years, but here we are. 10 years later, better late than never. Uh, Here's to hopefully a good run with it. Now, as far as the specifics of what I want to get into, I have strong opinions on a lot of different things. So, one of the things that I do want to get into is one of my all time favorite shows, which is A Different World. Now, I recently did a binge watch because it came back to Netflix back in February, and I was like, bet. So as soon as it dropped on Netflix, I immediately binge watched because Netflix is notorious for pulling stuff when you least expect it. So I said, you know what? I'm dialed in. I'm dialed in because I don't want to start watching it and getting invested and getting engaged. And then next thing you know, I pop up and Netflix got that little reminder gimmick. Hey, Different World leaving soon, leaving in 2 days, leaving in 2 minutes. You better watch it while you can. So I locked myself in and I binge watched it. Now I'm not going to get into it fully here. I want to do a dedicated episode where I break down like the history of the show and like the controversies and the special episodes, the whole bit. Like because it's a lot of meat to that bone. So I don't want to get into it here, but I put that out there as an example as to some of the topics that I want to get into. Just random things like that. Also, I'm a movie buff. I've been a lover of movies for as long as I could remember. My One of my favorite genres outside of comedy is mob movies, which is why I'm rocking the Scarface shirt. Shout out to my uncle Daryl, love you, who gave me this way back when, way back in the late '90s, early 2000s. Can't remember exactly when. But my all-time favorite movie will be discussed on this channel. And those that know me already know where I'm going with this. I'm going to be breaking down Goodfellas. Now, everybody has the right to their opinion, and I respect that. You also have the right to be wrong as well. I respect that too. But in my opinion alone, Goodfellas is the greatest movie ever made. Like the most perfect movie you will ever find out there. I'm talking about from the acting to the writing to the direction to the cinematography to the music selection to just everything, man. The motherfuckers that worked on the lighting in that movie are goated, in my opinion, because it's one of those movies where I watch it and I'm just like amazed. And here's how I know for me why I think this is why I consider it a great movie. Now, the movie itself is almost 3 hours. It's about 2:30, 2:45 around there. That's a long time to invest in the movie. That's a long 2 hours and 40, 2 hours and 30, 2 hours and 45 minutes is a long time to invest in anything, much less a movie. So for me, I'm one of those people that if something don't grab my attention instantaneously, you lose me. I need You need to kind of grab my attention within, I would say, the first 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. Because if you don't, I'm gone. My mind is elsewhere. I'm playing on my phone. I'm thinking about everything else but what's in front of me. So if you don't grab my attention like instantaneously, almost damn near, I'm not locked in. From the first time I saw that movie, I was locked in. I saw it. It came out in '90. First time I saw it, I was about, I want to say 8 or 9. I watched it with family. And at the time, at that age, when I first saw it, I really, being that young, seeing it, I didn't really have a concept of the dialogue. So everything for me was at that age, it was just visual. It was the visual of like just like the violence. You got people getting shot, cut up, stabbed, and at the time when I first saw it, it was jarring to me. Like, oh my god, like I ain't gonna lie, the first time I saw it, I had nightmares because once again, it wasn't about the dialogue, it was about the visual. That's what stayed with me. But then as you get older and you mature and you watch it through through older eyes, through adult eyes, you realize that yes, there's a lot of violence, but when you pay attention, when you focus in on that dialogue, you start to see the reasons for the violence. It's like a slow escalation, and each thing is explained as to why it's escalating. So that by the time you get to those violent parts of the movie, it makes sense because it was just a buildup. Because nowadays, you watch a movie like that, if a movie were to come out like that today, it would more or less be violence for the sake of violence without any type of explanation as to how we got here. What I like about Goodfellas is it really is an equal mix of drama, suspense, comedy, just a whole bunch of things. And I, I'm spending so much time talking about it because it's one of those things where I could literally break down every frame of that movie and talk about it for about 20 to 30 minutes. That would be like literally I said the movie almost 3 hours. I would literally be talking about that shit for like 5, 6 hours. That's how many thoughts and opinions I have on that movie and its greatness and its awesomeness. But that's pretty much the gist of what the channel is going to be about. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a breakdown of that. Now, speaking of giving my opinions on things, random things, excuse me, I mentioned a different world earlier. Well, Netflix is going to potentially be bringing back a rebooted version of a different world. They ordered a pilot that they're going to be working on, and so far they have executive producer and writer Felicia Pride on board. She she worked on Bel Air and Grey's Anatomy, and they're bringing it back. They're bringing back into the mix, which gives me some hope. They're bringing back executive producers Debbie Allen, Mandy Summers, Tom Warner, Gina Price Blywood, and Reggie Blywood. And those individuals were a big part of the original Different World. Obviously, Debbie Allen, she was a director and producer. Uh, Tom Warner was an executive producer for the Carsey Warner Company, so obviously they're very much familiar with the show, the in terms of the essence of what the show represented way back when. So having old school people involved in the mix, and also I mentioned Prince Blythewood and Gina Prince Blythewood and Reggie Blythewood, they were writers on the show back in the day. So having that old school vibe mixed in with the new school presentation could potentially work. Having like people that were there way back when that knew what it was involved in this new version gives me some hope. Okay. So Netflix ordered a pilot. Okay. So basically, for those that don't know or unfamiliar, basically a pilot for a television show is basically like a proof of concept. You basically present it to see how the characters interact and basically give fans or potential fans of the show a preview of what it might look like. And like I said, I had my doubts, but then again, you got to give stuff a chance. I had my doubts about the rebooted version of Bel Air, of Fresh Prince, which was Bel Air, and I ended up loving that show. But the fundamental differences between rebooting Fresh Prince or doing a reimagined version of Fresh Prince and rebooting a different world are two diametrically different things. Because Fresh Prince, while they did delve into special episodes here and there, at the end of the day, it was a sitcom. It was a situation comedy. You know, it didn't go as hard into certain areas as Different World did. And Different World way back when would go for the jugular. It would go hard. I mean, think about it. They were one of the first shows in prime time, no less, to talk about apartheid, to talk about the AIDS pandemic, to talk about condom usage, to talk about all of these things that other shows were not talking about, that didn't dare go there with. And I'm just wondering, like in this current climate that we live in, uh, will the show be allowed to go that hard again, or will it just be a situation where they're basically bringing the show back? They're bringing back this IP, and yeah, they'll throw in a few recognizable faces. Hey, Kadeem Hardison, Dwayne Wayne, you remember him? Here he is. Jasmine Guy, Whitley Gilbert. Remember, here's Ryan Johnson, here's Freddie Brooks. You know what I mean? Is it going to be a situation where they bring back the IP and they throw in a few recognizable faces, but it doesn't resemble the spirit and the essence of what the original Different World was? If that essence isn't going to be present, then y'all can keep it. Respectfully, y'all can keep it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of us in the culture hold that show dear, and I would rather just go back, watch the reruns, and kind of like have that same feeling about the show as opposed to potentially chipping away at that aura with something new that just kind of like spits in the face of what the original show represented. So, like I said, give it, see what they're gonna do with it, see what they got in mind for, it, see what they got cooked up. But uh, right now, I'm gonna be cautiously optimistic. How about that? How about that? Trying to think what else I want to break down for you here real quick. Um, as far as length, okay. Now, as far as length of these when I do go live, at least initially, I'm going to try to keep them relatively short, between 30 and 45 minutes. Sometimes if I feel compelled to go longer, I will, but for the most part, at least early on, I want to keep them as short as possible, just because, like I mentioned earlier, um, if something doesn't grab my attention right away, I'm kind of like zoned out. And I definitely don't want you guys to zone out on me. So I want to at least kind of like play around with how long I do these lives, but we'll see. When the need calls for it, they'll go longer. If I feel like I can say what I need to say in like half hour, hey, in and out like a robbery, baby. In and out like a robbery. Um oh, another thing. I'm also going to have guests, because I've been blessed to be surrounded by a very talented bunch of folks and different walks of life, from different walks of life, and I'm going to have them on here to kind of like mix things up. But like I said, for the most part, this channel is going to be about the randomness of whatever is going on in this noggin of mine. But every so often, I'm going to deviate. I'm going to pivot from that path and have a different outlook. And the only way I know to have a different outlook is to have a guest or two. So that's something else to look forward to on the channel. Want to have different guests that are involved in the music industry. Like I said mentioned earlier, I got into acting, so I'm going to have some people from that world. I'm going to have all types of personalities that I personally believe, like the chemistry. I mesh well with these people in real life, and I'm beyond excited to be able to bring that chemistry to this channel right here. Now, I can talk about that a little bit. Acting. I got into acting. Let me see. This is April, around February, right? With a little company called 215 Live Entertainment. Shout out to the owner and proprietor of that company, 215 Live Entertainment. Supreme. Love you, homie. Thanks for taking the chance on me. And also a friend that put me onto it, Miley, aka Shayla. You know who you are, baby. Thank you for putting me on to Supreme and helping me take that journey, the acting journey. Because once again, man, like life is about doing the things, saying the things, taking chances. I'm taking a chance doing this live because, like I said, for the longest time, I taught myself out of doing it, but I'm here. So as far as the acting thing, I basically took that same concept to it. I'm bringing that same concept to acting that I'm bringing to this channel. I'm just doing it. Do have a few things in the can that I'm proud to say that I did, and I can't wait for you all to see them. I'm not at liberty to really get into the specifics of the roles that I played and the titles of things until actually it's been work because it's still in the process of getting edited and produced and all that type of good stuff. So once all of that's done and I get the green light, I'll start to actually actively promote it and the names of things and that that type of stuff. But right now I can't really get into it because none of it's completed yet, and I don't want to like spoil anything. But suffice to say, acting is a wonderful escape, man. It's a wonderful escape because you get to kind of like it's one of the few jobs that you can have as an adult where you can play make believe and and people will be like, "Hey, right on, doing your thing." But also, it also kind of gives you, at least for me, it gives you a perspective on thoughts and views and opinions outside of your own. Because when you have to play different characters and you have to do different roles, you're put into a position where you have to look at things from a different perspective. So in other words, I could play a character that has diametrically different opinions and views on things than I do, that I may not even agree with at all. But then in the process of playing those roles that go against my personal my personal beliefs, it kind of like allows me to see things from that perspective. I may not change my opinions, but I can at least for a little while understand or kind of like try to see things from that other side. So let me see here. In closing, for the debut, I would just say, if you got something weighing on you, if you got something in your heart that you want to let it out, please do. Please do. Please let that shit out, man. Don't hold it in. If it's something you want to say it. Something you want to do it. You know what I mean? If it's pre-existing beef that you got with somebody, squash it, man. Just squash it because like I talked about with Jasmine earlier, man. The fact that we made plans to kind of like link up and reconnect, and they never came to be. That's one of like those regrets that haunt me. That are going to haunt me because because she was a. I'm sorry. It's going to haunt me because she was just a good person, man. She was just a beautiful person, man. I don't know how else to say it. Sometimes in life, you just come across people that are just good-hearted people and just don't mean no harm to nobody. They just have good hearts, and that's what she was. And I say all that to say that regret that I spoke of, that we can't have that link up. I say that to say that if you have the opportunity, as I'm recording this on April 8th, 2025, 4:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you still have the ability to reconnect with somebody that you fell out with, that you ain't spoke to in God knows how long, for God knows who, for God knows what, doesn't even matter. Does not even matter. Make that shit right. Pick up the phone, slide in a DMs. In 2025, with all this technology, all of these, phones and what have you, it ain't no excuse that you have for not reaching out to somebody. No excuse. If you care about somebody, if you care about preserving the relationship that y'all had once upon a time, please, please make that right. Um, and with that, I'm going to shut this down at just about 30 minutes. So thank you for taking this time to listen to my random thoughts. Obviously, this is just like a basic setup right now. And I honestly set it up. This was basically by design because I'm a flawed individual. I'm not perfect. The room that I'm currently recording this from is not perfect. And I kind of wanted to set that vibe of, hey, I'm just an imperfect dude living in an imperfect world. But over time, Obviously, I'll have graphics and all that cool stuff that you see on all the other YouTube channels. But for now, I wanted to be a little different. I wanted to be a little low key, a little basic in my presentation. I wanted to kind of like the focus to be on just me talking to you guys. Uh, if you like if you like the material, if you like the content that I'm doing, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, crush that bell icon so you'll be notified when I go live. And if you want to donate to the channel, you can hit up my Cash App, Smart Mark 434. That's Smart Mark 434. For now, I'm Soapbox Ant, and it's been your pleasure. Nah, thank you guys for watching to my ramblings. Love y'all. Be good or be good at it. See you on the next one. Peace.